moon.
Hello there, and welcome to That's No Moon. It's Yavin Base, pre-World Tournament Adepticon 2024 interview. I'm here with what can be described as a very unique interview with a family of players. I'm going to say the next generation, if you will. I'm not going to introduce them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So, who are you and where are you from, gentlemen?
I'm Kai. I'm from Portland, Oregon.
I'm Rio. I'm also from Portland, Oregon.
Cool.
And I'm Will.
And Will. And so for context, you guys reached out, you listened to one of our recent shows on the podcast, and you reached out and said, hey, we're not going to Worlds, but we'd love to talk about the game with us. And I said, I'm all down for this because I can chat Legion till the cows come home, as we say over here. How long have you guys been playing?
We first got our Legion set this last
morning.
Christmas.
Nice. And do you have favorite factions for yourself yet?
Yeah.
What are your favorite factions?
I like Empire the most.
You like Empire?
I've been swapping between factions. Currently, I like GAR a lot.
Nice. And Republic. And Will, do you play yourself?
Yeah, I kind of do a little bit of everything, but I'm trying to make Republic or Rebels work. I haven't had much success with that yet.
My first love, that one. With that in mind, how often do you play yourselves, each other, teaching each other the game? How often do you play?
Maybe like one game a week.
Nice.
Yeah, the game is pretty much set up all the time.
You manage to get more games in than I do, to be fair. So it works. I'm lucky if I manage to get a game in once a month at the moment, but there. Who are your favorite characters in all of the Star Wars, and who are your favorite characters in the game? What's your favorite units?
My favorite units are Shore Troopers, and my favorite character is probably forgot his name, but the robot from Rogue One.
K2SO. Yes.
My favorite character in Legion right now, probably R2-D2.
Nice.
My favorite Star Wars character, is Grievous. I've played with him and he's just kind of not great in my eyes.
That makes sense. No. Why Shore Troopers out of interest for your favorite choice there?
I don't really like the heroes. I don't like named faces.
That's fair.
I like the ambiguous of the Shore Troopers. They're all different.
That makes sense. There's nothing you can get attached to when they eventually get removed from the board. What is it you like most about the game? Obviously, being some of the younger players, the next generation, as we say, what appeals to you about it?
I can go first.
I really like the aspect of building armies.
Yep.
I think the combat system could be a bit better, but I like playing the game quite a lot.
In what way do you think it could be better? Just have interest?
I'm thinking like less of a luck based, more of like unit strength compared to another unit.
Oh, I see. So you'd be thinking, say, your basic B1s would be trash versus your like clone troopers who would be good because they're soldiers, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's more realistic to like how Star Wars is.
You don't
Is
like
that-
the dice?
Not really. I've never really liked how random dice are.
Huh.
Because either you get really good roll and like the game of Legion, you just get sent ahead, or you get really bad roll and half your units die.
This is very true. This is the old tale that dice tell stories, that sort of thing. And as we all know, B1 units just roll natural crits all the time. That's just what they do. Is that a universal thing? So anyone else any tweaks and changes they would make? No,
I don't think it's changes. I don't know enough about the game to make.
that's fair.
Rio, what do you like about the game?
I like the putting together the miniatures and painting them.
Nice, that's cool. Yeah, and do you have when you're painting them? Do you like to stick to what is canon, what is shown on the films and the TV series, or do you like to be inventive and do your own?
Probably canon.
Nice, that's so cool. When
For
the oh, go
I
on.
like because it feeds my 3D printing addiction. Just
How much 3D printing do you do?
quite a bit. I mean, I just am constantly trying to make more terrain. And then little guys as well. Like I showed you the Thrawn that we printed out to
Yep.
replace.
I like, you showed me lots of pictures. You showed me, so for those that I haven't seen, there's a motorbike goes past my window there. For those, so obviously those that don't who play the game, I was sent some pictures from you guys, and you showed me some inventive creativity with the Lego and the Star Wars the units as well, just because it gets the two combining. I really like that. I thought it was just good fun because it helps satisfy two of my loves, which is the Lego and the Star Wars, and I thought it was really cool. So obviously we've got the streaming will be taking place in a couple of weeks' time. Are you going to be watching?
Thursday, I've probably gonna miss it because of school.
I'll probably be able to.
Yeah. You can what you'll be able to do is you can watch them back if you need to, and you can pick up some tips because there'll be some hot players playing that works out. Do you know of any of the players that are featuring? So obviously you've got Ollie and Andy, who I do the podcast with, Luke Cook, who's the world champion. Do you know many more players, or are you still getting into it? Or do you know some yourself, or have played or anything like that?
You guys want to go first? You mentioned the Pink Suns and Lila.
Yeah, when I was building, I went to mercenaries for a bit. I built an army. I really had no clue what to do, so I just followed like Lila's army.
Yeah.
I never played it, but it looks very powerful.
It's having been on the end of Luke being beaten by her for that. It is. If you had a question for this is off the fly of this one. If you had a question for some of the experienced players, what would you ask them, and what tips and tricks would you like from them?
I'd ask them, how do you like actually use Grievous?
You know what? We record our podcast on Tuesday. I'll ask that question to Andy and Ollie and see what they say as well. So we see if we can get an answer for you on that one. What about yourself, Rio?
My question is probably what's a good way to place terrain? Because I watched one video and it was like make sure the centerpiece is off center.
Yep, 100% off center. I think from my experience in terms of terrain and things, it's just a case of if you have a theme in mind of how your table works. I like to make a table that tells a story. So the stuff I've got the Shatterpoint terrain and stuff like that. I like to just go, here's the stuff, and there's like a village there, and then it goes into a wooded area. I've got some trees and things, and then it goes into another area. So I like to tell a story on my board because Star Wars ultimately is a story. Different people will like to have maybe a bit of a symmetry, but I think you lose the turn zero thing where you're picking your sides and where you're going to deploy. If you have a symmetry there, then there's no real benefit to picking a table edge, in my opinion. But certainly something. If you listen to Andy, he's great. I mean, don't tell him I said that, but he's very good at doing terrain because he runs 96 players events. And the last person I spoke to in these interviews that I've been doing pre-worlds was Nick Bodnar, who you might know. He does a hell of a lot of terrain and he's Mr. Table basically in the States, and he's from Philadelphia, so you might not get to see him too much. But when you're older, if you go to some events, you'll probably end up playing on his tables because his tables are absolutely fantastic as well. Here's a debate for you then.
I think the one question I would ask the pros here would be how to. I'm having trouble understanding the force push standby using force users.
Go for it.
I've heard Ollie on the show talk about using Vader on key positions, I think, and I think he's force pushing, recovering, force pushing twice. There just seems to be a lot of nuance there.
That it comes with practice. and that's something he would definitely tell you because he's played Blizzard Force and Vader for so many games. I think he's talking about 500 games plus, and it's crazy. And the way he works, if he plays key positions, he plays the command card that Vader has, where he gets 2 turns. You put his token back in. Is it implacable? One of the I can't remember.
Yeah.
And that's how he's able to get so many force pushes and control a key position at the end of a game, because Vader will move, force push something off. If they've already moved onto it, they'll force push something off of it, or he'll attack it and swipe it and basically remove it from the game. He'll then put the card back in because Vader has master the force. The force push comes back anyway at the end. His token goes back in the bag. And then at the end, he goes, well, I've got Vader again. And Vader's then able to do Vader things and just run up and smack something with his lightsaber, remove them, and or then push something away. So that's how Ollie is able to gain that much control. For when I've used Yoda, you're right. It's a case of if he's already near the objective and he's not, say, already on it, and I've got units on there and I'm trying to control it myself, I can force push something off. Or I can use Yoda. Generally, I'll use Yoda's pip 1 with the charge where he moves to speed 3. Use him, charge something. He can hopefully then get the free attack to remove a unit off of the objective with his 4 red dice piercing twice. And then he gets to attack again because he can attack twice. So I'll try and do that twice, and that hopefully would kill a unit. And then I've got the force push there to try and send something away if I need to. But it comes with practice, and you will find that the more that force users, particularly the expensive ones, are high risk, high reward. So if you take big risks, and they pay off, it's good reward. But if the risk doesn't come off for you, you leave them exposed and they can die very easily. It's a lesson you learn that comes over time. My suggestion would be have a look at the streams, because when you watch the streams particularly into the Saturdays and Sunday at Worlds, you'll see some excellent force user play that I wouldn't be able to do, just because that's why they're playing and I'm not. Not that I'm bitter about it at all. But there we go.
Come through in the show at all. Just
no, it doesn't come through. No, it's just me sort of quietly sad face at home, that sort of thing.
You asked who we're watching. I think I'd like to see Ollie win it just for the change in dynamic on the show. That'd be
He is so. Given that this is not being published until Worlds, I can tell you his list that he's looking at is the Fury Road list, which currently is it's the mercenaries, 2 pink suns. Sorry, 2 pink suns. They're black sun enforceries. I'm just let's call them pink suns for now. 2 pink suns with the magdet, so they're the blast ones. Another 2 pink suns with the shotguns. They have Pierce. 2 of the buses, I believe, and 3 swoop bikes. But the bus has the field commander in, so he's able to get the issues order or that way. And it does horrible things. The swoop bikes do swoop bikey things with overrun. So he's able to do free attacks and all this sorts of stuff. And he's played a fair few games, and he's been able to win a couple of events over here. And it's a very objective heavy list. It does very well with objectives. It's not a killy list. It's a very objective list. And he was at an event yesterday. I haven't seen how he has done yet, but we shall see. But so that's what he's doing. But there's lots of after he went to World Team Championships in Spain, because he lost 3 games for the first time ever on the trot. He was having all sorts of problems. He couldn't decide what he was going to do. So he's decided now, but it took him a long time to decide what to do.
I thought he was Force or Bust.
Say again, sorry?
I thought he was Blizzard Force or Bust.
No. Because he got beat by a few players, he decided, no, it's time to change because people know how to play against it now, which I think is a fair statement. People have figured out what it does, and because he is the main guy for Blizzard Force, they know what he'll do as well. He'll circle the bikes around for a while, and then he'll just go boom, straight at a point, and they know what he'll do. He's been on stream enough times to people watch him, and they can go, yep, that's what he's going to do.
I'll keep it to that.
Their best chance is to play him when he's hungover, but there we go. Who's the best player in the house for you guys? Who wins more games than they lose, or is it an all even Steven?
Um, it's even entirely.
That's a very diplomatic answer. I like that.
Or 2 games.
Nice. And Rio, I'll ask you this one first, and then you can go through. So, if you could add any unit to the game from what you've watched in the movies and the TV series, what would you like to add?
Tusken Raiders to
Oh,
be.
what a good shout! That is a great shout, and that's one I've not heard before. How do you think they would work?
I think they'd be on Mercenaries, 2 versions, one of the Pike Club. Well, yeah, the Pike Club, and the other with the repeating rifle, leader,
Nice.
long range.
That's really cool. No, I've never heard anyone say Tusken Raiders, and I really like that. So that's something new because everyone says Gungans or all the Twi'leks and all this sorts of stuff. Kai, what about yourself?
I'd like to add Plo Koon as like uh a commander, not just the guy in that tank.
Yep, that's cool. Will?
I think I'd just like to see more for the mercenaries and on a Tatooine theme. Let's get a Jabba, some Gamorrean guards for him. Dengar, get Dengar in there.
Oh, Dengar. Yeah, we're showing our age there, I think.
That is.
Isn't Dengar the guy with the little white mask around his face?
Sort of.
Oh,
He's got like a desert dish rack thing going on with his tent and hides his face and that comes out the back, that sort of thing. He has a really weird spaceship as well for those people who played X-Wing.
What about you? What would you add?
What would I add? I would like to see generic Jedi that you can. So let's say the unit card would be a Jedi Knight, or you'd have Jedi Sentinel or Jedi Guardians, depending on what they are, and then you can choose kind of like their story. So you could choose which mastery you can stick on them. So you can stick Makashi or Sarisu or Jarkai, whichever one of the masteries exists. So like you could build your own depending on what style you want to lean in. That would be my preference. But other than that, you've got your Mace Windu would be the other one as well, because I think he would be absolutely mental and he would be. I think he'd be scary to play against, but he'd probably be very squishy, I imagine.
I thought of another one. Kira from the Solo movie is a crime lord in the Crimson Dawn.
Yeah.
So in the Crimson Dawn and
Ooh,
her as a commander.
I just thought of another one for the mercenaries. You know Hondo Onaga?
Yes, Hondu. Yeah.
Him and his species. The
Yes.
pirates.
His pirate
Yeah,
crew.
his pirates.
I wonder if we'll see. Have you guys delved into Shatterpoint yet?
I mean, I've built like 1 or 2 lists. I have no clue how to play. I was just messing around. I mean, I want to dive into it, but not sure how.
I wonder if we'll see similar things that are in Shatterpoint that come over to us and vice versa. Just as I wonder. I feel like that might be the sensible thing to do.
Oh, the Bad Batch units will
Yeah,
be
coming out. Yep. Then the Bad Batch and the Commandos, as of yesterday and the couple of days before, lots of things were spoiled for them in terms of keywords, which I need to review before Tuesday. So yeah, lots of things coming out.
Hey, look at. I wonder if Omega has any force sensitivity from the most recent episodes.
No, I don't think that was spoiled. I don't think it's spoiled, and I've not caught up with Bad Batch yet, so hopefully spoiler alert for anyone.
Oh,
No, it's fine. What factions, sorry, do you think will be the top dog at Worlds? And I'll go. So Rio, we'll start with yourself. What do you think will be the faction that wins? Not necessarily the list, but the faction.
I think an Empire, not a normal one, just a custom built Empire.
Do you think?
Yeah, not a Battle Force.
Not a battle force. Ooh, so I have a feeling it'll be a Tempest force, but that's just I have a sneaky suspicion on that one. Kai, what about yourself?
I think that GAR is gonna take it. However, I would love to see CIS.
I think I think Andy is running experimental droids for the CIS, so we'll see how he does. But I think he is running the snail tank, and the snail tank is not something that is seen across the Atlantic over your way. So maybe that might catch people unawares. Will, what do you reckon about yourself?
I'd like to see the rebels win it.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
The faction that is needs maybe some help.
Oh, I'd also like to see a rebel faction with mostly Ewoks win.
Yep, so the Bright Tree Village list, yeah. That was what and his name's Antoine in France when he went to World Team Championships in Spain. He ran a 14 activation Ewok list.
It was crazy.
Oh, I think people are still having flashbacks from that one, but you just can't kill it quick enough, and it goes and performs objectives, and you can't kill it quick enough because there's too many models, and they're all getting heavy cover into low profile. So, oh look, I've scored 3 hits. Oh, they're all gone. That's just the way that is. Any final questions you have for myself, really? Because, like I say, at the start of our chat, you guys, among others, will be the next generation. So one day when I'll play in 3 to 6 years' time, you guys will be at Worlds and you'll be just rolling me off the table. So what are you going to? Any questions you have?
I have a question. So, I am currently running Yoda Obi-Wan clones. And I saw that I think one world champion, no, I don't know, someone famous ran into Frey on Obi-Wan. And I was confused about that because I feel like Protector would be better.
Do you know what's weird about Obi-Wan is that on Anakin, you feel like he wants to be charging in, going all guns blazing. But Anakin can't do that until he's played his 3 command cards. Kenobi is weird because he's got, for me, in my opinion, his Pip 1 Hello There card, for me, is one of the top 5 cards in the game in command card wise. And if you're able to get him into an enemy lines, say droid lines of say 6 activations, 7 activations, and all the droid ball is there, and you play that Pip 1 card, you can get 7 green tokens of your choice. And then every time they're like, you can choose when he goes, obviously, because he's got the token on. And every time something around him activates, he's just adding up and adding up and adding up tokens for him to use potentially on the offense or defense, because obviously he doesn't surge either way, apart from his critical on his lightsaber. So before the points changes, about 18 months ago, I ran into the fray on Kenobi. And it's just really handy in certain situations, because if you have say another list is coming right at you, then that's absolutely brilliant. I can tie them up, stick a Jedi in there, or slow them down with a clone unit that I'll just throw away. At the time, I think I ran a Wookiee list with it, so it was 3 naked clones, a squad of Wookiees with a bowcaster, Kenobi and Yoda, and I think a Bark, maybe 2, can't remember now. But that was mine for a while. So Yoda and Kenobi I ran for a long time, and I think I'd played about 62 games, 62 games, and I think I lost 14 of them, something like that. I sent it to your dad the other day, and it's just fun. You can just add the tokens and you can use them when you want to use them. It's very situational, I accept that, but if you've got a list coming at you like all those Ewoks, perfect. I'll have a few green tokens. Thank you very much. And then if you are charging Kenobi forward and using Yoda as the backup piece, then even better, because all the units can activate and you just stack up the green tokens, which works for me.
All right.
Hope that helps.
Do you have any questions about using Vader real? Because
yeah, I want to know how to use Vader and Dewback correctly. Because last time I tried it, Kai blocked me off with a whole bunch of battle droids. He demolished me.
I'm going to save this question for Tuesday when I record with Ollie and Andy, because Ollie and Andy are both better Empire players than me, and I don't use Empire, so I can't give you the best answers. The only thing I would say is that something that is forgotten about on the Dewbacks is the old what's the one that spur. So you can spur your Dewbacks just to get them into combat quicker. And the better players I've seen, what they tend to do is if they're running, say, a triple Dewback, they will basically charge them all straight forward as quick as they can to get them into enemy lines, to get them to munch some troopers, because while the enemy is dealing with 3 dewbacks, Vader can slowly trot up because they can't deal with Vader because you've got 3 dewbacks in the right in their lines. So that would be my suggestion. Having run Tauntauns, and obviously they're different, but I used to just run my Tauntauns up and then something would follow up behind, and that would be the threat saturation style, if that makes sense. But I will ask Andy and Ollie because they are better players than me, and yeah, and then as time goes on, we might be able to. You might see some streams with dewbacks at Worlds if we're able to get those dewback lists on there, and you might be able to see the better players use those, if that helps.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Will, anything for yourself?
I guess I'd like to know how to deal. I'm just obsessed with the force users part, but if I don't have a force user in my unit, how to deal with force users? Is it just feed them cheap units to distract them, or what that might be? And I know that's a large question.
It's I get what you mean. My only suggestion would be it depends what force user. If you're playing Commander Vader, the superior Vader, as is thought in Europe anyway, because he's slower, you can pick him off over time, or try to, assuming he doesn't die from cover to cover. What changed the game for force users was the burst of speed, because all of a sudden they can go boink straight into combat, and that was a problem. I think it's a case of if you've got things that are immune to pierce, or impervious to pierce, that helps and slows them down a little bit, like ARC troopers, for example. But feeding ARC troopers to a force user is horrible business. I don't know if there is a true one-size-fits-all answer, to be honest, though. I think it's a case of just focus fire and weight of dice, because at some point they won't have that dodge or they won't have that surge, and you can just try and pick them off when they haven't got it. If you're playing Anakin, you could focus him down. I focused him down in a recent. I actually managed to play a game on Wednesday. I used Mandalorians, and I managed to focus him down by hiding my core troopers and things behind a bus as I swung around, and he'd forgotten that the bus could move as far as it could, and left Anakin untouched with a dodge. And the bus with the gun managed to get 3 wounds on him early doors. So that made him change how he was going to use Anakin. So if you get early wounds on force users with snipers or bikes to flank around and come around, that makes force user players generally a little nervous, especially as a force user player myself. So yeah, that would, if I get early wounds on, it makes me change my game. If that helps. I know that there's no one size fits all, but like I say, I think early wounds make differences because it makes people a bit more nervous about how they're going to play them.
Do you think you'd go so early round? You'd go all in on the force user if you could just take every shot you can at them. Try to put out wounds on them to.
Yeah, if you can get your let's say for example, arcs are being used at the moment. Lots of range 5. If you can get range 5 shots that plink away on a force user, that prevent them from sharing a dodge if it's Anakin, or just making them have to use the dodge in general, and then you can plink away with the second and third squad, do it, because they might fail a roll. You might get lucky. Obviously, if you've got something that's in your face and you're playing, say, let's say recover the supplies and something's in the middle, that's probably a better bet to go for the middle target. But yeah, it's a situational thing. But I think early wounds make a little bit of a difference. It's more up here psychologically, but the better the player, they probably ignore that. If that makes sense. Again, this is stuff I can take to Andy and Ollie and just say, guys, you're better. What do you think? And I can ask them. So yeah, that makes sense. Any final questions, and we shall wrap this chat up.
I don't think I have any more.
So I have one final question for you guys then. Unless Rio, you had anything?
No, I don't.
Sweet. So it's 2024 now. In what year will we see you guys at Worlds?
I have no clue.
That's a target. That's a target to set for. So maybe 3 to 5 years, something like that.
Probably when I was 16.
At least they're confident.
I like that. I like the confidence. That's how to go. And I suppose the final question is, do you have anyone in your local area or a store or a bunch of guys that you play with that you want to say hello to or give a shout out and give some recognition to?
No, like no one in our school plays Legion other than us. Basically the only people like nearby us that play Legion are us three.
That makes sense.
His sister's played a few games.
This is Kara played like one.
She wants to play again today.
Yeah.
We're looking into events, but that's want to get a little bit better before we go.
That's cool.
That's strangers.
That makes sense. Awesome. Well, lads, thank you very much for the chat. I look forward to seeing you on the stream. So you just tap in and just say, "Hey, Cockles, it's us." And just if you have questions for us, between me, Bushman, and Zane, who will be doing the streaming, we'll do our best to help you out. But we look forward to hearing from you while we were streaming, and we look forward to seeing you in a few years' time.
Thanks, Cockles.
That's no moon.